Hello and hello. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. How you doing? So Merz is about to meet with Trump. Literally right now, like live. I'm watching this live. I'm waiting for the event to begin. So I'm just going to sit here and wait for this to begin. And then I'm going to record my reaction to it live. So that will be fun. Guys, this is taking forever, but this guy just informed me he's getting a diaper change. I don't know if he's talking about Trump or Merz, but that's what the holdup is. Oh my God, guys. It's been like an hour. It just turned on just now. This is awkward. What the hell? This is live, guys, so hopefully they start talking soon. They're whispering sweet nothings right now.
Thank you very much, everybody. We have a meeting with a man who's become a friend of mine, and we've known each other for a little while in some very interesting times, and we get along. Our countries get along very well. We have a great affinity for each other, and the Chancellor has been very
If I have to listen to Trump say about how he's German again.
well received in Germany. He's a very successful man, became
He's actually not that popular.
Chancellor of Germany, which is a big deal, and he's doing a very good job. In my opinion, a great job, very popular. And the relationship that we have in trade and everything else has been very strong. We've been able to do our deals, and it's been very strong. We'll obviously be talking a little bit about Iran today, and he's been helping us out. We've been very nice, actually. And that is coming along, as you see, very well. They have no Navy, it's been knocked out. They have no Air Force, it's been knocked out. They have no air detection, that's been knocked out. Their radar has been knocked out. And just about everything's been knocked out. So we'll see how we do, but we're doing very well. We have a great military.
26%.
And they're doing a fantastic
A
job.
fucking
So we'll be talking
liar.
about that.
I'm sorry to just right out the gate just be talking like that, but I mean, come on. I cannot stand it when you just fucking lie to my face like that. Trump loves to do it. He's a liar. Flat out liar. It's very popular. 26% popularity. You're a liar. He's about as popular as you, Trump.
Talking about some very big trade deals, and those I know will work out too. So I just want to say it's a great honor to have you at the Oval Office.
Although I, of course, actually like Merz. Compared to Trump, I love Merz.
Oval Office, beautiful White House. It's a special place.
I didn't mean I like Merz. I don't have a strong opinion about Merz. He's vanilla. But compared to Trump, he's excellent.
From your standpoint, and you have some very special places too, and I look forward to being with you.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Kind of a creepy
Thank you,
smile.
Mr. President, for having me here in this Oval Office for the third time now.
Yeah.
Really happy to have the opportunity to speak with you in these challenging times. We are on the same page in terms of getting this terrible regime in Tehran away, and we will talk about the day after.
Getting it away. I'm sorry. I just love the way people speak about war. You know, they try to wash it. You know, we're going to get it away. You mean we're going to bomb the hell out of it and kill everybody?
What will happen then if they are out? We have to talk about our trade agreement, which I would like to be in place as soon as possible. And we have to talk about Ukraine. There are too many bad guys in this world, actually, and this is an issue we have to talk
You're right next to one of them.
about. Because we all want to see this war coming to an end as soon as possible, but Ukraine has to preserve its territory and their security interests, and, well, we will talk about that.
We will.
Looking forward to that.
I've been talking about it for years. I mean, I'm glad that Merz is still, you know, that's still a top priority. It should be. But, like, come on, we've been talking about that for years.
That's some
For your
interesting.
hospitality.
Trump doesn't give a shit.
Thank you for letting me spending the night in your guest house.
That's
It's
right.
Very, very
Good.
comfortable place.
Hope you liked it, right?
Absolutely, yeah, great place, and a famous place.
That's
yeah.
good, very
So
famous.
many former presidents.
That's
there.
right.
Yeah.
Very famous place. Any questions, please?
Mr. President, did Israel force your hand to launch these strikes against Iran? Did Netanyahu pull the United States?
Oh my God, that's a hard-hitting question. Got nothing really to do with Merz. Although I enjoy seeing Merz sitting there next to Trump. You know, I like seeing his reaction, even in his face. Typical, I can already tell this is one of those typical type of meetings where they're just going, the media is just going to pretend Merz isn't even there, pretty much. It seems like already to me. But this is the question, guys. I mean, this is the question, you know. Why did we go to war? Why did we go to war? Regardless of what you think, I mean, of course, this regime was horrible, horrific, terrible regime, killing its own people, thousands of people. But Trump doesn't care about people. We all know that. So that ain't why we went. So it would seem, and Marco Rubio said it. I mean, he flat out said it, you know, and it's up for anybody, you know, and people can decide for themselves if they support it or not. But he said that the reason we did it is because Israel was going to attack Iran, and so we decided to preemptively strike them because we felt like Iran would retaliate against our bases. Okay, so that's why we did it, according to Rubio. That's why we did it. Israel said, we're attacking them. So you can either do it with us or not. Either way, we're attacking them. And they're probably going to bomb you back. But we're still going to do it. And so that forced Trump's hand to go along with it and bomb them. That's what Rubio said.
No, I might have forced their hand.
You forced Israel's hand.
You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were
Iran was going to attack?
going to attack first. I felt strongly about that. And we have great negotiators, great people, people that do this very successfully.
I try to hear, you know, I'm interested in hearing the rationale for all this, but it's just like incoherent and inconsistent and just a bunch of different. It's shocking to me that they didn't come up with a narrative before, you know, launching this war, having a clear narrative on why they were doing it. Now he's saying Iran was going to attack us. That has not been what he was saying the past few days.
And have done it all their lives very successful. And based on the way the negotiation was going, I think they were going to attack first. And I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand. But Israel was ready and we were ready, and we've had a very...
It just doesn't, it's just illogical. What are you talking about, force Israel's hand? How did you force Israel's hand? Israel has been the #1 proponent of going to war against Iran. Everybody knows that. That's not a secret. So how can you say you forced their hand? They've been chomping at the bit to do it. I'm shocked at what I'm hearing. Sorry. I know it's got nothing really to do with Germany. Well, it's got something to do with the whole world. But, okay, now and also, but that just doesn't, like, what are you even saying? How did you force Israel's hand? You could have done it without Israel. We have a much bigger military than Israel. So it's not like we necessarily needed Israel. Of course, Israel has a powerful military and whatever. But, how are you forcing their hand? It just doesn't make sense.
very, very powerful impact, because virtually everything they have has been knocked out now. Their missile count is going way down.
Okay.
Amazingly, they're hitting countries that were, you know, let's call them neutral, right? They lived together for a long time. I think they were surprised. I was surprised. And now those countries are all fighting against them and fighting strongly against them. Someday they'll write a story and they'll say why they did that, but they hit countries.
I mean, they were mostly targeting U.S. bases inside those countries, were they not? I think some missiles did. I guess they were I don't know if they were targeted or just poorly aimed, but hit like, outside the military bases in those countries. So, yeah, I mean, obviously that tactic is stupid. Seemingly, it was a dumb move by Iran, it seems like.
That had nothing to do with...
It's almost like they know they're going down, and they're just going down. They're not going down without a fight. Like, they're shooting them all off. Okay? That's how it seems like to me. I mean, I don't know.
What's going on? They were sort of leaving everything alone. All of a sudden, they had missiles shot in, which shows you the level of evil that we're dealing with. They'll hit people that were actually at least somewhat friendly, and they had no problems with it. Also hitting only civilian places, hotels and apartment buildings, and we're hitting them.
The irony of having to sit here and listen to this after this has, of course, been the critique against Israel in their war in Gaza for years, Israel targeting civilian structures. Now, of course, they say it's because Hamas was inside the structures. Okay, we all know. But that's been the critique, and it's been obviously that has happened. Israel has killed a lot of civilians in Gaza. So to sit here and listen, now Israel and USA, now Iran's targeting civilian can you believe it? After we bombed the hell out of them out of nowhere in the middle of the night. Well, it was the middle of the night here in America. It was the middle of the day there in Iran.
Where it is much more appropriate, we're hitting them very hard. And the big scale hitting goes now. They no longer have air protection. They no longer have any detection facilities at all left.
Okay.
And so they're gonna be in for a lot of hurt. These are bad people. These are people that killed. I guess it's 35,000. It's coming out 35,000 over the last 3 weeks. Protesters. 35.
I wish I could trust Trump's numbers there, but I can't. You can't. I know it's thousands. Whether it's 10,000 or 30,000, though, it's an absolute catastrophe and an abomination. And
5,000 violently killed. So these are bad people, and the leader of the pack is gone. And as you know, 49 people were taken out in the first hit, and I guess there was another hit today on the new leadership, and it looks like that was pretty substantial also. So they're getting hit very hard, and we'll see what happens. A lot of people are coming forward. A lot of the people you would least suspect want to quit. They want to have immunity. They're asking for immunity, and probably at some point they'll be dropping, as you would say, laying down their guns. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, we're just continuing to go forward. Our military is the #1 in the world by far, and we are, everything's big in my book. Venezuela was big, this is big, the original hit, Midnight Hammer, was big, everything you view is big, but...
Could he sound more fucking stupid? I'm sorry. What are you even saying? Everything's big? Dude, please shut up. You're such an embarrassment to us. Just the way he speaks. Everything's big. Just shut up.
It's not considered very big by some
standards. Is it big? Is it, that's how Trump thinks of things. Is it big?
By some of our standards.
Is it gold? And is it big?
Military like no other military that's ever been built.
Yeah, please. Mr. President, what's the worst case scenario that you have planned for in Iran?
Wow.
Well, I don't know if there's a worst case. We have them very much beaten militarily from the military standpoint.
The worst case scenario is that Iran uses a bunch of these little drones that only cost $20,000 each. Boom, 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 and then they use up all of our interceptor missiles that cost $4 million each. Boom, boom, and they just shoot 2 of them at every little drone. So you run the numbers there, and then they take a long time to manufacture these interceptor missiles, and Iran wastes them all on little drones, and then Iran shoots supersonic ballistic missiles. That's the worst case scenario.
They're still lobbing some missiles. At some point, they won't even be able to do that because we're hitting all of their carriers. We're hitting all of their missile stock. They built up all these missiles over the last few years. They had a lot of them. They've shot a lot of them, and we're knocking out a lot.
And that's a
guess
part,
the worst-
that's an aspect of the fight that I do want to understand. Are we effectively destroying these underground missile arsenals?
Case would be we do this and then somebody takes over who's as bad as the previous person, right? That could happen.
That's another, yeah, that's actually, that's a good point.
We don't want that to happen. That would probably be the worst. You go through this and then in 5 years you realize you put somebody in who was no better. So we'd like to see somebody in there that's going to bring it back.
Honestly, that's the first time I've heard him honestly say anything that's like, could go bad. So, yippee skippy.
And we'll see what happens with the people. They have their chance. And we've said, don't do it yet. If you're going to go out and protest, don't do it yet. It's very dangerous out there. A lot of bombs are being dropped. But I would say that would be about the worst.
Do you have someone in mind, right?
I just love the idea. Trump is so out of touch with people and how people operate. That not everybody has a safe room bunker with 2 years of food supply in it. You know what I mean? In their basement. These people, most of them don't even have a basement, let alone a food supply. So my point is they need to go out. You got to eat. You can't just sit inside your house for the next 2 months, dude. That's how normal people in the world have to operate. They have to go out. They have to go out. So he keeps just saying, just stay inside. And it's like, and die? Starve?
Well, most of the people we had in mind are dead. So, we had some in mind from that group that is dead. And now we have another group. They may be dead also, based on reports. So I guess you have a third wave coming in. Pretty soon we're not going to know anybody. But we have, Venezuela was so incredible because we did the attack and we kept government totally intact. And we have Delcy, who's been very good. We have the whole chain of command, and they've been, the relationship's been great. We've taken out
I hope to God Merz gets to at least say a freaking word.
100 million barrels of oil already.
I love how he's not even shy about it, being upfront that Venezuela was totally about oil.
That goes to them, and a big part goes to us. And it's been great. We paid for the war many times over, and we're going to be running the oil. And Venezuela is going to make more money than they ever made, and that's great for the people. The relationship has been great. It's been seamless. Nobody's actually ever seen anything like it. If you look at Iraq, where very stupidly everybody was fired, the generals were fired, the military was fired, the police were fired, the fire departments were fired, and all of the government workers.
What the fuck is he talking about? How is Venezuela comparable to Iraq? Like, you can't even pretend, dude. You can't even pretend like the regime of Iraq is comparable to Venezuela. Oh my God. And also, he's saying all this, meanwhile, they're literally killing everybody in the regime in Iran. So what he's saying is Iran is going to be a disaster.
Were fired. So after, people would call, they had no idea. And by the way, ISIS was formed. That's where ISIS came from.
Yeah.
All of the fired people. We don't believe in that. So we'll see what happens. But first we have to finish off the military.
What do you think? Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, is he an option at all in your mind?
I guess he is. Some people like him, and we haven't been thinking about too much about that. It would seem to me that somebody from within maybe would be more appropriate. I've said that. He looks like a very nice person, but it would seem to me that somebody that's there, that's currently popular, if there's such a person. But we have people like that. We have people that were more moderate. These were radical lunatics, and you know what they get? They get nothing. All they do is kill people.
Mr. President, what exactly was the imminent?
You've asked, not your turn. Not your turn, please.
Mr. President, you take the heat off the Europeans to pretend to be help you, Mark Rutte called on the allies to also help you.
What does that mean?
Well, you have to ask Mark Rutte. He said you are as part of NATO, but to be helpful to you in this.
Well, some of the European nations have been helpful and some haven't. And I'm, very surprised. Germany's been great. He's been terrific. Others have been very good, terrific. I think that the head of NATO, Mark, is fantastic. Okay, Mark Rutte. I think he's fantastic. But some of the European, like Spain, has been terrible. In fact, I told Scott to cut off all dealing.
I just did a video today on my other channel specifically about Spain, so I'm super interested to hear this.
With Spain, first of all, it started when every European nation, at my request, paid 5%, which they should be doing. And everybody was enthusiastic about it, Germany, everybody. And Spain didn't do it. And now Spain actually said that we can't use their bases, and that's all right. We could use their base if we want. We could just fly in and use it. Nobody's going to tell us not to use it, but we don't have to. But they were unfriendly, and so I told him we don't want to. Spain has absolutely nothing that we need other than great people. They have great people, but they don't have great leadership. And as you know, they were the only country that in NATO would not agree to go up to 5%. I don't think they agreed to go up to anything. They wanted to keep it at 2%, and they don't pay the 2%. So we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain.
Whoa, that's a big announcement. Holy shit. Cut off all trade with... Well, what's interesting is because in my video I said, it was like, well, okay, what's he going to hike the tariffs to now on Spain? But then I was like, oh, wait, the Supreme Court, of course, the decision came down. He can't just hike an individual country's tariffs. But what he can do is do a total embargo. So it sounds like that's what he's going to do with Spain. Wow. Wow. All because you watch Spain's prime minister, he really just had issue with the way this war was conducted, And the minister said, as everybody has been saying, of course this regime was terrible in Iran, but you can't just conduct a war without congressional approval here in the United States. But also, ideally, you go through international channels. I don't see why they couldn't do that, and maybe do it under wraps, but they still could have done it. They could have at least informed our allies and tried to coordinate something beforehand.
And I'm not, by the way, I'm not happy with the
and put it to a vote.
UK either. That island that you read about, the lease, okay, he made it for whatever reason, he made a lease of the island. Somebody came and took it away from him. And it's taken 3-4 days for us to work out where we can land there. It would have been much more convenient landing there as opposed to flying many extra hours. So we are very surprised. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
Mr. President, what's your expectation towards Germany?
Oh, neither are you, Trump. Let's be honest. Okay.
Can Germany do
Who are you kidding?
Germany do to help you in this one?
Well, I think they're doing it. I mean, they're letting us land in certain areas, and we appreciate it, and they're just making it comfortable. We're not asking them to put boots on the ground or anything. I mean, we're just, they're a respected country. I have a very good relationship with the country. We have, in particular now, with this leader, with this new leader. I think he's an excellent leader.
We're talking about Germany,
I
right?
had my differences with Angela.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
said, you're hurting your country with immigration and you're hurting your country with energy. And we have a man sitting on my right that is, I think, pretty much the opposite of her on energy and the opposite on immigration. And I think he's doing very well.
Commercial air travel right now is severely restricted in the Middle East, and thousands of Americans are stranded. Why wasn't there an evacuation plan, and will you send planes to get people out?
Well, because it happened all very quickly. We thought, and I thought maybe more so than most, I could ask Marco, but I thought we were going to have a situation where we were going to be attacked. They were getting ready to attack Israel. They were getting ready to attack others. You're seeing that right now. And a lot of those missiles that are hitting in, those are stationary. Those were aimed there for a long period of time at these other countries. So I think I was right about that. We attacked first. And if we didn't, it could have been, look, we're really decimating them. They're being decimated. And if we didn't, and by the way, we have massive amounts of ammunition. We have the high end. A lot of it was given away stupidly by Biden, very stupidly, for free. And I'm all for Ukraine, but they gave away a lot.
You know, it's funny he says something offhanded like that, where it's like, I mean, that was a little bit of a contradiction, you know. On the one hand, he's critiquing, you know, giving Ukraine all this ammunition, but he just said, I'm all for Ukraine, which I feel like the offhanded remark happens to be the most supportive remark he's made in a long time as in terms of Ukraine. So there's that.
As you know, when I give away ammunition, everybody pays for it. The European Union's paying for it. Then they can do what they want with it, but they are giving it, let's say, to Ukraine, and it's okay. But we gave away a lot of high-end, but we have plenty. But we have unlimited middle and upper ammunition, which is really what we're using in this war. And we have really an unlimited supply. We also have a lot of the very high-end stored in different countries throughout the world. We're literally storing it there, which is actually something that I insisted on in my first term. I rebuilt the military in my first term. The military is great. Unbelievable amount of ammunition, or munitions, as they say, we're giving away to, you know, the Wall Street Journal incorrectly covered the story when they said that it was given away to the Middle East. Not to the Middle East, it was given away to Ukraine. Very little was given to the Middle East. Middle East would buy a lot, and some of the nations, because they're rich, they have a lot, but it was given away to Ukraine. And it just should have been done. Look, it's a war that should have never happened. If I were president, that war would have never happened. But we have
He's really got sidetracked here,
a
huh?
tremendous amount
Just
of
rambling.
munitions, ammunition at the upper level, middle and upper level, all of which is really powerful stuff.
Mr. President, a question to both of you. How worried are you that the rising prices for gas and oil are damaging the American economy and also Mr. Chancellor?
Yeah,
Finally, we get a question that includes merits, and it's like the most boring question. I'm sorry. Rising gas.
Sure, this is of course damaging our economies. This is true for the oil prices.
Oh.
This is true for the gas prices as well. So that's the reason why we all hope that this war will come to an end as soon as possible.
Oh, you know, I didn't expect that out of Merz, because I feel like that's not that. I mean, if you've been listening, I've listened to every word Trump has said, you know, since this war began, and that is not the talking points he's been saying. You know, Trump has been saying, we will go on as long as it takes. Now, Merz is coming in here and saying, well, you know, I want this to be over as soon as possible, which interestingly is usually what Trump is saying about other people's wars. So it's interesting to hear that, and Merz just says that, you know, confidently. I actually like that. And he acknowledges, you know, the rising oil prices. I said it was a boring question because it kind of is, but, you know, I didn't expect him to just say, you know, it's really bad. It's really bad for our economies. You know, okay. So not exactly a glowing review and endorsement of the war from Merz right there.
Hoping that the Israeli and American army are doing the right things to bring this to an end and to have really a new government in place who is coming back to peace and freedom.
yeah. Something had to be done. And it's been 47 years. They've been killing people all over the world for a long
Wow. I'm actually surprised. That was actually like a little bit of a confrontation there from Merz to Trump, you know, because that is not what Trump wanted to hear. That's not, if you're going to, and I know a lot of these guys just suck up to Trump, and Merz has done that. But if you wanted to just full-blown suck up to Trump, that's not what you would say. You would say, oh, you know, as long, you know, it's just transitory, you know, the spike in oil, you know, this will long-term, this will be good for oil prices, you know, and, you know, just take as long as you want on this war, you know. But Merz did not say that. I'm impressed.
time. They were the kings,
Trump was thrown off there.
fathers of the roadside bomb. Soleimani, we killed him.
He's talking about roadside bombs. He's talking about shit that's like, that threw Trump off. That threw Trump off. Let's talk about roadside bombs. Like,
Fathers of the roadside bomb, Soleimani, we killed him last time. If we didn't, I think it might be a different story today. They would have been much stronger and smarter than they are. But they did the roadside bombs. 95% of the people lost their legs, arms, had their face wiped out, just wiped out. I've seen some young people that it's so sad to watch. And that was almost all, 95% comes from Iran and with Soleimani. Soleimani loved his favorite weapon. He loved the roadside bomb. And when you see people walking around with no legs and no arms and a face.
literally, what the fuck is he even talking about? You know what I mean? I'm sorry. And maybe there's something I'm missing. You know, I don't know. I certainly don't know everything on this subject. I don't even know close to everything on this subject. But like roadside bombs, aren't we talking about? That was like, you know, super prominent in Afghanistan. Why are we talking about like what happened in Afghanistan war? Like, what is he talking about? These roadside bombs. And okay, like I believe him that Iran was responsible. But, you know, of course they have a bunch of militias, you know, in the region that use those types of tactics. But like, how many American, like, I don't know, whatever.
It's been
It's just random.
blown to hell. These people, what they have to go and the way they have to live. This is Iran. When you look at the barracks, the famous barracks, when you look at the hostages, when you look at a lot of hostages, when you look at all of the problems, they were really a purveyor of terror all over the world for many, many years.
True.
And it's something that had to be done, something. And I believe that if we didn't, because I see where Congress, you know, if I didn't do this, guys like Schumer, who are losers, the Democrats, they're losers. That's why they're not here. Guys like Schumer would say, well, you should have done this. In other words, if I did it, it's no good. If I didn't do it, they would have said the opposite, that you should have done this. But most people feel, I'll tell you what, I have never had more
I'm
compliments
pretty sure Chuck Schumer is hugely in favor of this war.
on something I did. People felt it's something that had to be done. So if we have a little high oil prices for a little while, but
See,
as soon as this ends,
that's what I knew Trump would say. Merz didn't say that. Merz said this is a disaster for the economies. Trump is saying, a little high oil for a little while, you know, who cares?
those prices are going to drop, I believe, lower than even before. Go ahead, please. Yes.
How do you want to solve the conflict on tariffs between the EU and the US?
Between who?
The conflict on tariffs between the EU and US. How do you want to solve
And U.S. and who?
EU, European Union.
Oh.
How do you want to
Well, we won on tariffs, actually. Somebody said you actually won the case. We won on tariffs. We had a decision that
Oh, my God. Is narrative now? You didn't win, dude. Are you kidding me?
wrong. It was a very bad decision from certain standpoints. From other standpoints, a very powerful decision because it reaffirmed.
Because it reaffirmed the other statutes that give you unlimited power in your eyes, right?
All the fact that we have all these various forms of tariffs.
No, you don't.
We felt
Such a bullshitter.
but it totally reaffirmed it. Said you can use all of these tariffs. So we have all these vast menus of tariffs, and tariffs have
Bullshit.
made our country very rich.
Bullshit.
We
Dumb bullshit. That's just dumb bullshit. First of all, everybody knows the person paying the tariff is the importer, not the exporter. Now, of course, it's bad for the exporter as well because the importer just doesn't want to import stuff from your country if they have to pay a bunch of tariff on top of it. So they lose out on business, obviously. But that does not make our country rich, you idiot. You dumbass. That's just a tax. That's just an arbitrary tax on imports to the importer. If you say that makes our country rich, that's the exact same thing as just taxing. Why don't you just raise corporate taxes? You know, this is like doing that, except way stupider. Because it's instead of using a scalpel, you're using a blunt tool that targets imports of all types, sizes, businesses that are not even profitable yet, small businesses, large businesses, you know, they're all impacted the same. Except actually you give a lot of exemptions for the large businesses, don't you? For the tariffs, yes. Yes, indeed. The large businesses are exempted. So it's a tax on small and medium-sized businesses in America. You think that makes America rich? And you're a dumbass. You are a dumbass. We all know that. Not to mention that money is literally funny money, not backed up by anything. It's not backed by gold. So you print the money for free. And you think that you're rich because you're sucking that money out of the economy, the American economy? You're an idiot. And then also you're reducing the amount of cheap goods we're able to acquire from other countries that want our funny money. We give them our funny money, not backed by anything, and they give us real goods and services and resources. And you cut that off. You're an idiot. Doesn't make us rich.
To charge tariffs to nations who play with their money. You know, they move their money up and down like
China.
a yo-yo. We have to take care of nations that have been good to us and fair to us, and we're going to take care of them. Other nations, they haven't, and we haven't let them take advantage of us. But the whole thing with tariffs is we had a decision that, like, as an example, we have a license situation, and the license is something that allows us to immediately stop all business with, nobody even knew we had this power, but we do now because of the decision. We have the right to stop all business having to do with a certain country.
That's great. That's going to make us super rich, right? Is that what you're telling me now, Trump? Stopping all business with Spain, that's going to make us super rich.
Certain countries not treating us well. The president, without going to Congress, has the right to stop. Sort of interesting. I have the right to stop, but under that one law, I didn't have the right to charge them. So I have the right to license them, but I don't have the right to charge, which is frankly.
It's always incredible to me when you listen to him speak. You know, he has such disdain for ever having to go to Congress, which just means he has a disdain for the U.S. Constitution and the whole founding and principles of our government. You know, he hates it. You know, I don't have to go to Congress. I don't want to. You know, that's always his stance. Always.
Ridiculous, but the right was given to us by the Supreme Court, and we have the right. As an example, we talked about Spain. I could tomorrow stop, or today, even better, stop everything having to do with Spain. All business having to do with Spain. I have the right to stop it. Embargoes, do anything I want with it, and we may do that.
That'll make us rich.
What do you think?
Well, sir, I think we're going to talk about it with you. I know that you have strong power.
It's going to make us rich.
Clarify. We know
J.D. Vance looking like a dumb little bitch sitting there.
Sure, national and economic security will do it.
Scott, do you have an opinion?
Sir, I agree. The Supreme Court reaffirmed your ability to implement an embargo.
I agree.
As we've talked.
This guy can't even talk, Scott Besson. I hate him.
From your first term, the Section 301
I agree.
withheld more than 4,000 lawsuits, and USTR and Commerce are going to begin investigations, and we'll move forward with those.
And we've instituted a 15% tariff on everybody, as you know.
That's going to make us very rich.
And just used, I'll tell you, we had a couple of paragraphs written in that opinion that were really incredible. Justice Kavanaugh wrote a fantastic dissent, but in his dissent, he said what we should do, and we knew that too. We just wanted to simplify it, and for some reason, I think, you know, very, very foolishly, the courts decided no, but they said you can do it many other ways, and that's what we're doing. And what we've done is we've gone.
Then why are you so pissed about it? It's because you can't do it many other ways. You're lying. You're just lying.
To a very simple, straight 15% tariff.
Why'd you do that then? Why did you change all these complicated individual tariffs on countries and reduce it down to just a flat 15% tariff, which, by the way, can only last up to, I believe, 60 days? And then it needs congressional approval. Why are you doing that? If you have all these tools to give you magic tariff power, then why are you doing that? Why didn't you just keep the current tariffs in place? the previous tariffs in place? Why don't you keep them in place under these new laws? Because you're lying. That's why.
We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in our country because so we've taken in all of this
We've
money.
sucked out hundreds of billions of dollars from the American medium-sized businesses.
Hundreds of billions of dollars, and honestly, it's made us very rich as a country. Right? So it's been doing good.
Weird.
When will you have
Where's the riches?
the full plan implemented? We have a 5-month period, up to 5 months.
So you're saying the government that printed the money in the first place took it back, and somehow that makes you rich?
But 15%.
Okay, you have a fundamental misunderstanding of how an economy works. Okay, got
Doing
it.
that, as you know, we're doing the various
Got
studies
it.
and things, and we'll be coming out with tariffs, different tariffs on different countries. You want to talk about
Why
that?
don't you just tax everybody at 100%? Take back all the money. That way we'll be super rich. Take back $50 trillion, you know? Impose a 100% wealth tax, 100% income tax, take it all back. That way, be super rich.
Yes, sir. By the time the 5-month period has elapsed, we'll have completed investigations under Section 301, which Secretary Bethlen talked about. We know there are countries out there with deals who are very interested in keeping the deals. We need to go through and investigate all these unfair trading practices, the kinds of things you talked about, and make sure that we're protecting U.S. economic.
By the way, JD is just sitting there looking super awkward because he was even more anti-Middle Eastern war and regime change than Trump was. You know, Trump ran on that, but JD has vehemently been opposed to, you know, Iraq, Afghanistan, and any regime change, and specifically in Iran. So that's why he's sitting there and he doesn't know what face to make.
Security. We know there are countries
How are
out
we going to treat Germany?
well,
I think you should hit them very, very hard.
you knew he was right there when you said that, Mr. President. We're
Ew, I didn't like. He's, hey, you know, he's right there. You know, he's right there when you said that, Mr. President. You know, he's right there when you said that, Mr. President. Just a cringe moment. Also, Merz ain't the type to joke around.
we know there are countries
How are
out
we going to treat Germany?
well,
I think you should hit them very, very hard.
you knew he was right there when you said that, Mr. President. We're
You know, he was right there when you said that, Mr. President. That's the joke, dumbass.
they have expressed an interest. Germany's been quite constructive in wanting to move forward and be helpful. You know, the rest of you will talk to them as well. But obviously,
I will say every country, every single country wants to make the deal they already have. In other words, a deal that we have using the other authority, they want to make the same deal. And
Sure they do.
I'd like to see, actually, we're going to.
Is that why the EU paused the implementation of the whole trade deal? Is that why?
It's somewhat upward, actually, but they all want to stay in the deal, and so we'll probably be able to do that pretty easily.
Sure.
After all, Iran won't be able to deliver drones to Russia anymore. So what does it more mean to Ukraine and having Chancellor Merz?
That's a good, that is a great, exciting thing about this. You know what I mean? Out of all the ulterior bad motives that probably preempted this, Iran was a supporter of Russia and, militarily supporting them and materially supporting them. So that's great. I think Zelensky's happy. I think I saw a statement from him. So that's good.
Sitting next to you, who would you call if you want to talk to Europe? And Chancellor Merz, you've just been in China, the president.
Who are you, what country are you from?
I'm from Germany.
Okay, I thought so, I could see.
So, Mr. Chancellor, you have been in China and the president.
She likes you.
In China.
I don't know.
Will you be talking about China and what you specifically?
We'll be talking about China, yeah.
And what about Ukraine?
I'll be going to China in a little while. Every time you meet, you talk about China. We respect China. I do. We both do, I think. But it's always a topic of conversation. We've had a very good relationship with China. We used to lose a tremendous amount of money with China, and that's no longer the case. We have a very, very good relationship with China, and we have a very good relationship with Germany. All right.
I'm sorry. We used to lose a lot of money with China. Yeah, in exchange for their really cheap goods that they would give us. So we would gain actual real resources and goods, but lose our money that we print for free. Oh no.
Thank you, Mr. President. We've seen countries around the world, many of whom don't usually work together, working with the United States on Iran, whether it's, Saudi Arabia working with the United States, Israel, Qatari shooting down Iranian aircraft, and we've also seen European countries step up. Why are we seeing, such unity around the world against Iran?
That's a great point. Look, they're just evil. They're, it's not the politics.
That is why.
It's the whole philosophy. It's the whole, where they come
The regime
from.
was evil.
It's terrible. Where they killed 35,000, I thought it was 32. Now it turns out it's much more than 35,000 people. And in some cases using
Is it 32, 35, or much more than 35?
machine guns with people that have no weapon. They have no weapon, and they're being machine gunned. They're being sniped from buildings. They're hitting the people with snipers right through the eyes.
It's absolutely evil. And on that scale, it's even more evil than what ICE did to the 2 innocent unarmed people in Minnesota last year. Shot them multiple times, unarmed protesters. That was evil. And Iran was doing it at a much, much larger scale, and without even any attempted pretext for, it being in self-defense or anything.
It's just a very evil ideology. And
Whoa.
nobody's really seen anything like it. As I said, even the fact that they've attacked all of their neighbors, and the neighbors weren't attacking. They thought they'd maybe sit it out or what. They've hit Qatar, they've hit UAE, they've hit Saudi Arabia, they've hit Oman. They were helping us negotiate. They got hit. Everybody got hit because they're evil and they're bad. It's a bad seed, and somebody had to do it.
They're evil and they're
And it should have
bad.
been done sometime during a 47-year period because so much death has been caused by them. So much unbelievable death.
Then why were you saying? Hold on. Okay, so he just said someone should have done this in the last 47 years, and yet this is what Trump tweeted 15 years ago. Let's see, quite a few tweets, actually, 2011 and 2012 and 2013. So let's see. In order to get elected, Obama will start a war with Iran. Barack Obama will attack Iran in order to get reelected. I predict that President Obama will at some point attack Iran in order to save face. Remember that I predicted a long time ago that President Obama will attack Iran because of his inability to negotiate properly, not skilled. Now he's saying, I guess Obama should have done it. Interesting.
From Germany, too. Germany's been hit. Everybody's been hit by them. It's an evil ideology. And I've never been, look, I've done a lot of good things.
He's walking an interesting line there, saying it's an evil ideology. What exactly is he referring to when he says that evil ideology? I just want to know.
Many people saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. You see it in the streets of Los Angeles.
We all know the regime was evil.
They have thousands of people. I saw it the other day, pictures of Donald Trump. And I'm looking, I'm on the phone, probably talking to you. And I'm looking, and I see my picture. I say, oh, no, it's another, protest. I see and then I started saying, boy, they were very friendly people. And then I saw a woman hugging the picture of me. I said, what's going on? And it turned out to be these are Iranian people that live in the United States.
So many.
Thousands and thousands. You saw the rallies. And in New York, too, they had a big rally by pictures all over the place. The fact is that people are happy what we did. And
Some people are happy, and I feel like he knew that, and well, he's saying he actually didn't, which is whatever. Maybe he's too stupid to have known that. Just incidentally worked out to be very good propaganda that way. Yeah, that is what makes this politically complicated, and the whole situation complicated is, of course, Iran regime was evil. And so, of course, Iranians, some of them, are ecstatic about it. And I don't blame them. Their tyrannical dictator that was murdering their own people is dead. With that said, that doesn't make it legal, and it doesn't mean that was the motive. Unfortunate reality.
You could never, and I've always said it, you could never have had true peace in the Middle East if Iran was allowed to go, even beyond the nuclear. If Iran was allowed to have look at all the missiles they built. A lot have been now taken out by us, and a lot have been expended. But they have thousands of missiles in a fairly short period of time. And I'll go two things. The attack that we did, known as Midnight Hammer, had we not done that, Iran would have had a
Corny ass name.
very powerful nuclear weapon within 1 month. We did it. It was great timing, but, you know, and you've been able to see that too. The other
They've been saying Iran would have a nuclear weapon in 1 month or 1 week even for 30 years. You can go look up a compilation of clips of Netanyahu saying that and other politicians saying that. You know, Iran's going to have a nuke in 1 week, 1 month. You know, it's been that way for years. So, yeah, sure.
Barack Hussein Obama made maybe the worst deal I've ever seen, because he gave all power in the Middle East to Iran. He went the exact opposite way, and I terminated that. If I didn't terminate that deal, they would be sitting with a massive nuclear weapon 3 years ago, which would have been used already on Israel at least, and other countries also.
It's quite a statement.
We wouldn't be talking about it right now. But if I didn't terminate the deal that Obama made, giving them everything, including plane loads of cash. You remember the airplane flew over there? It was a Boeing 757. There was 2 of them, loaded. They took out all the seats. It was loaded with green cash. So much cash that it was in Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. They got all the cash from all the banks. They put it, and they flew it to Iran. I never knew a president had that power. I'm going to maybe try it sometime if it's okay. I think I'm going to.
But he's not even kidding, you know what I mean? He will. I'm sure he will. Try that.
Do it. I'll fly it somewhere. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. 2 planes loaded from floor to ceiling. Big planes, Boeing 757s, taken over there and given cash. In addition to that, he was giving them billions of dollars. But worse, he was giving them the right to have the path to a nuclear weapon. And that deal expired. A lot of people said, oh, you terminated it. Well, it was going to be terminated anyway because it expired. It gave them the right to have top-of-the-line nuclear weapon. If they had, because they're crazy, just like the people on my right during the State of the Union. I looked at them, I said, you're crazy? These people are crazy. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it. All right, how about 1 or 2 more?
Mr. President.
Go ahead, please.
Chancellor Merz, you just heard that the president is thinking about punishing Spain. What are your thoughts spontaneously on this, and what can you do to
Well, the answer on that is quite simple. We are trying to convince Spain to catch up with the 3% or 3.5%, which we agreed on in NATO. And as the president said, it's correct. Spain is the only one who is not willing to accept that. And we are trying to convince them that this is a part of our common security, that we all have to comply with these numbers, and this is 3.5 for military and another 1.5 for our military infrastructure. So Spain has to comply with that.
Did he purposely dodge that question? I was very excited about that question, but that's not what we were talking about. We were talking about the military bases. You know, Spain didn't let America use the military bases for the Iran mission. So Trump is saying he might embargo them. Nothing to do with the NATO with 3%, 5%, you know.
Spain has been very, very uncooperative. And so has UK. Now, the second one is shocking, but this is not the age of Churchill. I will say the UK has been very, very uncooperative with that.
You know what's interesting is I feel like the UK, Starmer's getting the worst of both worlds, you know. People in the UK say he's sucking up to Trump, but Trump says he's not sucking up enough. So it's just like everybody hates him.
Stupid island that they have, that they gave away.
I thought he was talking about the whole UK island. I was like, whoa.
It took a 100-year lease, having to do with perhaps indigenous people claiming the island that never even saw the island before. What's that all about? And they ruin relationships. It's a shame. It's and that country, UK, and I love that country. I love it. My mother was born there. I love it. My mother was born there. My father.
I was born in Germany.
Right, he knows all about my father. My father was born there, so you know, very places that you sort of automatically very feel warmly about. But the UK, what they're doing with energy and what they're doing with immigration is horrible. You have the North Sea. Somebody said yesterday, what would you do if you were the UK? Open up the North Sea. They got windmills all over the place that are ruining the country, ruining the landscapes, ruining the beautiful fields. Open up the North Sea. It's one of the greatest.
Those damn windmills.
Think of it. They buy their energy from Norway, which gets the energy, the oil, from the North Sea. So Norway drills in the North Sea and sells it to UK. And UK has a better part of the North Sea. Open up that. And number two, illegal immigration. They got to solve that problem.
Illegal immigration? That's an interesting tell right there that I don't think he even understands the immigration situation in the UK fully. Of course, there is some illegal, but it's mostly legal. You know, asylum seekers.
And I must say, that's...
The controversy, if I'm not so mistaken, is that people say it should not be illegal. You know, that would be the critique.
not only UK.
Or that it should be tightened down.
That's other parts of the European Union that have the same problem. Immigration and energy. The energy is through the roof, the highest in the world. And the immigration is, I mean, you know, look, you have places where in the UK, you have a terrible mayor of London, terrible, he's an incompetent guy. But you have Sharia courts. You don't have Sharia courts. You don't want Sharia courts. You have Sharia courts adjudicating law. So it's very simple. Immigration, very importantly, immigration and energy. And you bring it back. Otherwise, you're not going to bring it back. Okay. One more. Go ahead.
I have a question for the Chancellor.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Chancellor Merz.
Yeah.
You've called for unity and joint force in this moment against Iran. What does that look like to you? And then, Mr. President, where is getting a deal with Russia and Ukraine on your priority list right now?
Okay, where you going?
So we, as I said in Germany the last 2 days, we are supporting the United States and Israel to get rid of this terrible terrorist regime. And we are looking forward to a day after, and we have to talk about the strategy. What is following after this regime is away, and we have to strategize on.
That's really the scary part, you know what I mean? That's the regime change part, which, according to Marco Rubio, is sitting right there. He's literally sitting 5 feet away. That is not part of the scope of this operation. There is not supposed to be a regime change. It's not a regime. In fact, according to Trump just put out a statement yesterday where he said, it's not a regime change operation, although the regime did change. You know, it's a contradiction right there. But point is, regime change, not what this is supposed to be about. Of course, that doesn't make any sense. That's obviously what this is. But, so Merz is just sitting here. Yeah, you know, regime change. We're going to have to figure out how to do that properly. What?
This regime is away, and we have to strategize on this.
Because that requires people getting in there. Okay, that's what regime change necessitates. You can't change the regime from this. I mean, you can obliterate the regime and let whatever, you know, comes from it come. But if you're trying to orchestrate the regime change, you have to get in there and do it. Obviously, right? You can't do that from the sky.
Region, and we are having a high interest in common approach and common work and what we can do, and this is important not just for the Americans. This is extremely important for Europe and extremely important for Israel and their security. So we are really looking forward to find ways how to deal about the day after.
And as
Mm.
far as Russia, Ukraine, where is it on my priority list? Very high. We thought that, I thought it was going to be one of the easier ones. I've said 8 wars. And
Oh my God. If I have to listen to Trump say this spiel one more freaking time. I thought it was going to be easy, but I settled 8 other wars.
maybe one more
This one I thought was going to be easy.
than that. But minimum 8 wars, big ones, potential India, Pakistan, big wars, very important,
Oh, potential wars.
big ones. I thought this was going to be much easier than it is. There's tremendous hatred between
At least you admit you were dead wrong, huh?
Putin and President Zelensky. Tremendous hatred. I've seen a lot
Too
of
bad that's part of the reason you were elected. You know, part of the reason you were elected is because you promised you would solve this war within days of being, or I think I remember even like on one day, he was going to solve the Ukraine-Russia war. So that's part of the reason you were elected. And yep, too bad you were flat wrong. Huh.
hatred in my life, but I think this is about top scale. I believe it's going to happen. Sometimes I blame one, sometimes I blame the other. I think it's going to happen, but it's high on my list. Not in that it affects the United States so
Sometimes I blame one, sometimes I blame the other.
much because it's very far away. But last week and for the last 4 weeks actually, 32,000 soldiers died. 32,000. And it's been averaging 25 to 30,000 soldiers a month have been dying in that stupid war. And I'd love to see it ended. It's the worst that there has been since World War II.
If you can't get a deal, what will that mean for you?
That is an insane amount of death. You know, I cannot believe that's actually occurring while we all sit here, you know. And of course, USA is a lot further away than Germany is, so maybe it feels a lot closer to you guys, but it's crazy to think that as I sit here, I mean, 30,000 a month is 1,000 a day.
All you can do is do your best, you know. It takes 2 to tango, and they have to get along. They have to be able to talk to each other. They hate each other a lot. That has an impact, you know. It really has an impact. It's bad for both. The saddest is that if the election weren't rigged, my election, that war would have never taken place.
It's so appalling to me that we've let Trump get away here in America. We've let him get away with this rhetoric, you know, and I mean, it's essentially through attrition. You know what I mean? He's just said it's been rigged. He's said it so many times that people have stopped rebuting it. You know what I mean? And so, you know, he just gets to say that freely as if it's true, and people just move on with their day. You know, it's an insane thing for the president to be saying. Totally undermining our democracy.
And you know what else wouldn't have taken place? Allowing 25 million people to pour through an open border. That wouldn't have taken place. A lot of things would have been different. But we're doing very well, and I think a big factor in this world and future factor is what we're doing right now with Iran. If we don't stop them, or if we didn't stop them, or if we didn't start, they've been decimated. But if we didn't do what we're doing right now, you would have had a nuclear war, and they would have taken out many countries. Because you know what? They're sick people. They're mentally ill, sick people. They're angry.
Now, okay, we would have had a nuclear war.
They're crazy. They're sick. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone.
And I mean, of course, everybody, literally, I haven't heard a single person say that, you know, Iran getting a nuke is, you know, acceptable. It's not acceptable. Obviously, that's unacceptable. But just hearing, yeah, we had to do this because there would have been a nuclear war. It's like, okay.
Thank you, Press. Thank you. keep moving. Thank you. Really good, guys. Thank you. This way. Keep moving. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Moving out the door. Thank you, guys. Keep moving.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
That took a while. All right. Wow. I doubt anybody watched that for an hour and 5 minutes, but if you did, thank you. And hopefully I wasn't too boring or offensive. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.